live from WTVO Rockford and your home team. Eyewitness News at 5 starts now.
Tonight, the remembrance of a Freeport man taken too soon. The positive impact Walter Hayward had in his community.
They make the most amazing things.
A chance for some holiday shopping while supporting local vendors. Details on Rockford's Handmade Market.
You've been dressing up as Dumbledore and Snape since you were probably about 8 years old. You gotta go for it.
A Rockford man set to appear on a Harry Potter game show. He tells us it's a dream come true. Good evening, I'm David Greenberg. Alexis Carpello has the night off. We begin tonight with the news of former Republican presidential candidate Bob Dole, who passed away today at the age of 98. Dole was also a senator from Kansas, serving in Congress for decades. And a war hero, Karen Travers has a look back on Dole's life.
There's trying to win an election.
Robert J. Dole never won nationwide elected office, but he was one of the most recognizable and most powerful politicians of the 20th century. Born in a modest home in Russell, Kansas, July 22, 1923, Dole's young life was taken up with his family's Methodist church, the Boy Scouts, and athletics. But in 1943, his studies were interrupted by the Second World War. Assigned as a platoon leader, he saw action against German units in Italy early in 1945. A month into that conflict, he was seriously wounded. It was an experience he would write about years later.
For a long moment, I didn't know if I was dead or alive. I lay face down in the dirt, unable to feel my arms.
Dole was in and out of hospitals for 3 years, and he never regained the use of his right arm. After the war, he continued his education, attending law school at Washburn University in Topeka. 18 years later, he was elected to the U.S. Senate, where he would emerge as a powerful national figure. Americans got their first close look at the ambitious lawmaker in 1976, when President Gerald Ford chose him as his vice presidential running mate. Although the Ford-Dole ticket was unsuccessful in its bid for the White House, the senator eventually rose to become Senate Majority Leader in 1985. Dole's name became a standard in the race for the Republican nomination for president. He lost the nomination in 1980 to Ronald Reagan, missed it a second time in 1988, but he finally won the top spot on the Republican ticket in 1996. But running against an incumbent president, Bill Clinton, during a time of peace and prosperity, turned out to be an impossible obstacle. Reflecting on his own success and the injury that shaped his lifetime, the senator once said he hoped he could be an inspiration.
It's a message to all the people with disabilities. If you just hang in there, you're going to be able to cope with it.
Karen Travers, ABC News, Washington.
Speaker Nancy Pelosi ordered the Capitol flags to be flown at half-staff to mark Senator Dole's death. Well, family and community leaders are remembering a Freeport activist after a long battle with kidney failure. Walter Hayward died November 26th at just 45 years old. Rachel Perry spoke with family and friends of Hayward today. Rachel, they tell you he's left a lasting impact on Freeport.
David, Hayward is known in the Freeport community for a number of reasons, whether that was singing, helping kids and teens, or standing up for what he believed in. Family says he was always working to make a difference. Hayward passed away November 26, but family tells me his voice will live on.
Makes life so sweet.
A big voice and an even bigger impact made. Family and community leaders tell me Walter Hayward would do just about anything to make a difference.
I mean, gosh, you could not stop him. You could not stop him. He was going to get something accomplished.
Walter grew up in Freeport and never left. His sisters Christina Marie Marshall Hartshaw and Tiffany Marshall Woods say the father of four was a father figure to dozens of Freeport youth.
To see the amount of young people who, oh my gosh, Mr. Hayward was like a father to me. Mr. Hayward encouraged me. Mr. Hayward came to my track meets. Mr. Hayward lifted me up. Mr. Hayward. It was just overwhelming.
He knew that he was that first example for those opportunities that some of the children of people still do not have. But we have to find a way to get our children to be exposed to seeing our race, black and brown, having those positions.
Patricia Norman is the president of the NAACP Freeport branch.
When he had something to say, you had to listen to it because he spoke with conviction.
Walter served on several of their committees, and Norman says he can't be replaced.
Our organization has only been here since February. Walter has already already become an irreplaceable, a key member of our community.
Despite his kidneys failing and health declining, family and friends say Walter never gave up.
We all know that Walter had health issues, but Walter never let that hold him back.
We never lost his voice, and we will never lose his voice. We didn't have to gain it because his voice will live on forever.
Family tells me Walter was also extremely involved in local politics and even ran for mayor. Now his sisters say they will forever be inspired by Walter and hope to follow in his footsteps. David?
Thank you, Rachel. Local shoppers got a chance to cross a few things off their holiday gift list today while supporting local vendors at Rockford's Handmade Market. This is the 10th time the market was held at Prairie Street Brewery. More than 40 vendors were on hand selling items such as art, jewelry, toys, clothing, and plenty more. Prairie Street Events Coordinator Emily Lamb said this is a great way for vendors to showcase some of their hard work.
Be able to be around our vendors and see them and all their hard work that they put into it and all the hours that it takes to create these different things. It's really amazing what they do.
Market goers also had the opportunity to enjoy a brew and some grub in a specially provided shopper's lounge. A State Line superfan shares his experience of a lifetime after appearing on a Harry Potter-themed game show. Ryan Bernstein of Rockford's been a fan of the fictional series ever since he was just a boy, so when the opportunity arose, he said it was a no-brainer. The show is a 4-part series where contestants are quizzed on Hogwarts trivia and other related questions. Bernstein telling us it was a dream come true, saying there were a number of reasons he loved the experience.
It was really special to be there with Helen Mirren, a real Harry Potter prop, and then a team of Harry Potter superfans like myself.
Bernstein will be featured on tonight's episode airing at 7 p.m. Check your local listings for details on where you can watch the show. More news on the COVID front as cases are rising in the U.S. to the highest daily average in 2 months. The spike comes as scientists in South Africa say the Omicron variant is spreading twice as fast as Delta. ABC's Faith Abube has the latest from Washington.
With the Omicron variant stretching across America, now detected in more than a dozen states, the CDC racing to learn more about the new strain, warning the numbers are likely to rise.
What we don't yet know is how transmissible it will be, how well our vaccines will work, whether it will lead to more severe disease.
The primary concern right now, according to the CDC director, remains the Delta variant, accounting for 99.9% of new cases. The U.S. averaging about 90 to 100,000 new cases per day. The spike straining hospital systems in Michigan, where only 11% of the state's ICU beds are available.
And our teams right now are caring for more patients than I have ever had on our ICU teams in the almost 20 years that I've been a physician here.
In Rochester, more than a dozen National Guard troops responding to a state of emergency declared to boost hospital staffing.
For us, we did have challenges. We're asking staff to really push themselves.
The fear of a dual wave of Delta and Omicron infections triggering a fresh demand for vaccinations. Coast to coast, long lines seen at clinics and pharmacies.
I think everyone's just wanting to be more protected.
In the labs, vaccine makers already developing Omicron-specific shots just in case. Dr. Rochelle Walensky on ABC's This Week saying the FDA is already in talks with manufacturers.
They're already in conversations about streamlining the authorization of this, partially because much of the vaccine is actually exactly the same, and really it would just be that mRNA code that would have to change, and certainly FDA will move swiftly and CDC will move swiftly right thereafter.
Faith Abube, ABC News, Washington.
Well, good day, everyone. Hopefully you have enjoyed your Sunday so far. We are talking about some drier conditions as we head throughout the night, but wind and cold will be the story over the next 2 days for us here in the State Line. Here's a look at the day planner. It shows that we'll have temperatures in the upper 30s as we head toward really 6 p.m. and beyond. Even some spots are already cooler than that. We'll also potentially deal with some foggy conditions, but eventually as we head toward midnight, as the wind picks up, the fog will dissipate, but we will still be talking about some clouds clouds being out there. Now here's a look at the Mercy F SkyTrack weather camera looking toward downtown Rockford. You can see some of the water on the camera lens there. We've been dealing with rain showers throughout the day today and even some wintry weather across southern parts of Wisconsin. And fortunately, a lot of that moisture is now starting to clear out, but I wouldn't be surprised if we still have some drizzle out there. So definitely take it easy on the roadways, and also just give yourself extra time if you have to head out for anything this evening. Now here's a look at some of our weather watchers. Jim reported temperatures at 36 degrees in southwest Rockford. Ben reported temperatures near 34 degrees over the last hour in South Beloit. And then Ken reported temperatures near 36 degrees where he is in Belvedere. So we're all pretty much in the low to mid 30s at this point, even some upper 30s out there. 37 degrees in Rockford at this hour, 32 though in Monroe, and 32 in Galena. And that cold air will continue to filter in from the north and west. Now, at the moment, we have calm wind out there, so no wind issues for us, but that will be changing as we head throughout the night tonight. And it's all because of a larger storm system that's right now producing a lot of snow and some rain across the Great Lakes and even some colder air back toward the north and west. When we put the system on the map, it's really the strengthening of this area of low pressure as it moves east that will help bring a lot of cold and wind with it. So we are talking about the winds picking up as we head throughout the night. And because of that, we have a wind advisory that will go into effect at 2 a.m. and stay active at least through noon Monday. And we're talking about gusts potentially upwards of 50 miles per hour. So you will notice that as you are sleeping, and hopefully no one has to deal with any power outage issues because of that. But as we head toward 8 p.m., we're looking at wind from the west-northwest anywhere from 10 to 20 miles per hour in terms of gusts. And then we're talking about the winds really picking up. And by 3 a.m., we're looking at sustained wind gusts, or more or less wind gusts, typically above 30 miles per hour, and in some cases approaching 40 miles per hour. So the wind will be a big factor for us as we head throughout the night. Now, this wind will also start to usher in some colder conditions. Take a look at temperatures as we head toward Monday morning. We're starting out in the mid-20s, but by the afternoon, or at least late morning, we'll see temperatures bump up closer to 30 degrees. But after that, it gets cold. And by Monday evening, we're looking at temperatures in the teens. And then by Tuesday morning, some areas down toward the single digits. So we're dealing with some of the coldest air we've seen so far this season impacting us. Looking ahead, there's another system that we could potentially deal with on Tuesday that brings us maybe a limited snow threat. But at this point, more than anything, the big stories are the wind and also the cold that's on the way. So let's take a look at the forecast for tonight. Temperatures down to 25 degrees. Tomorrow, temperatures up to about 27 degrees. And the 7-day shows we have some moderation in temperatures through the week, but we're looking at limited rain and snow chances as well.
Now, the Napleton Sports Desk with David Greenberg.
Week 13, Packers are getting some much-needed rest on the bye. Bears are at home taking on the only team with a better record in the NFC, the 9-2 Arizona Cardinals. Kyler Murray back from injury after missing the last few weeks. Same goes for DeAndre Hopkins. And these two did not miss a beat as Murray finds D-Hop for the touchdown to give the Cards a quick 7-zip lead. You take a look again. Hopkins is going to be like, yeah, I caught that ball. Get a little point. There you go. Bears ball now. Dalton going to fire it in there, but it's coughed up right into the arms of Budda Baker. He returns it back deep into Bears territory. And then Murray did exactly what everyone knew he would. Takes off to the right, and he's going to take it in himself for the score. This play here pretty much sums up the Bears' day. Dalton trying to set up the screen, and that's picked off by the Cardinals D. Dalton threw 4 picks in this one. Don't let the score fool you. This was a blowout. The Bears lose 33-22.
Big picture, when you look at this game, obviously stating the obvious is the turnovers, having the four interceptions. In the end, that's what it comes down to is those turnovers, the momentum and the short fields for them against that offense and that team. It's hard to overcome.
No Packers today. Might as well take a look at this here from Detroit. The Lions beat the Vikings for their first win of the season. Jared Goff threw the game-winning touchdown pass to Amon-Ra St. Brown. As time expired, the Lions win 29-27. Well, the NIU Huskies made history yesterday after being crowned kings of the Mid-American Conference after going winless just a year ago. NIU will look to cap off this mega season with a bowl game victory against Coastal Carolina. Huskies are headed south to Orlando for the Tail Greeter Cure Bowl. All profits raised from the Cure Bowl go directly to cancer research and the organizations like the Breast Cancer Research Foundation. College Football Playoff Committee also released their rankings for the top 4 teams after yesterday's championship Saturday. With the upset victory, Alabama leapfrogs over Michigan to that #1 spot after blowing out Georgia. The Bulldogs will fall to 3. They'll face Michigan in the Orange Bowl, and with their win, Cincinnati reigns at #4. They will take on the top seed Bama in the Cotton Bowl. Notre Dame just missing out. With everything going on in college football yesterday, you might have missed an impressive comeback by the Chicago Bulls last night. The Bulls were in Brooklyn taking on the Nets, who held the top seed in the East. In a back-and-forth game, a clutch 3 from Lonzo Ball put the icing on the cake as the Bulls won 111-107. Head coach Billy Donovan is happy with the win, but still says there's areas to improve upon.
You know, I love that competitive spirit about the guys, but as I'm looking at it from a team perspective, we have to keep getting better. We have to keep growing. I think we've made a lot of positive strides. I think we've gotten a lot better, but I still think there's room for us to grow and get better. And I think that's where our focus needs to be of, you know, where we want to be at the end of the year.
Blackhawks are on Long Island tonight. They take on the New York Islanders. Hawks lost last night to the Rangers 3-2. Will look to bounce back with a road win tonight. Puck drop is at 6:30. Marcus is back with one last look at our forecast. Marcus, it's been nice the last few days, and today a little bit colder and rainier.
Yes, today is our transition day. We're talking about much colder conditions by the time we get to Monday and especially Tuesday morning. But as we take a look at the first morning interactive radar brought to you by Rockford Auto Glass and More, it shows some of the rain we've been dealing with over the past couple of hours. That rain will continue to fade. Temperatures tonight will be down to about 25 degrees. But take a look at the 7-day. We're talking about some cold conditions and windy conditions for Monday, especially overnight into Monday morning. Then by Monday evening, we're down toward 10 degrees, and it gets even colder Tuesday morning.
Well, thanks, Marcus. Thank you for making us part of your home team. We'll see you at 10.